Well, I've had always talked about with family and friends to get. I've always had a little crowded teeth. I wasn't blessed with the straight teeth that my older brother and sister had. Actually, since I'd mentioned about my youngest son after he passed away, I kind of had made a promise to him because he was the youngest and he had some crowding as well. And after he got out of the Army, he and I were talking about getting braces probably at the same time. So after he passed away, I decided now was the time, and I wanted to keep that promise to him. Actually, even at my age, I use the internet, and due to the demographics at the time, I'm 55 now, I was 52 then. Not many of my coworkers and colleagues had braces, or if they did, it was when they were teenagers, like most people do, when they're about 10, 12 years old. So I asked around, and nobody really knew, so I went on the internet and I did a search. At the time I was living in DC, and I still work in DC, so I wanted to be close to where I worked. So I went online and I saw Dr. Kumra. I looked at a bunch of different orthodontists, and he had great ratings, and everybody loved him. Matter of fact, he had a perfect score. So I called up, and they said, "Come on in," and that's how it started. That was very easy. Granted, this has been, it's been what, 3 years now, over 3 years. But I do remember being very pleased with the way everybody was very nice, very polite, very professional. And for me, I know there's a lot of good orthodontists out there. He's great, but even more than that, the people, his staff, they were wonderful. And he's just a really genuinely good person, and I mean that. So that made a big impression for me. He's a nice guy. I remember him, he looked a little younger than I expected, but he's super nice. He was very friendly. I told him exactly, my story, why I did it, and I think that meant something to him, and which meant something to me. And I told him, I didn't want to lose any teeth, because I remember friends getting it. They said, we have to pull two, and he didn't make me any promises, but he said he would do his best. And he said, don't worry, we're going to get this done. I was thinking 3 years. He said, no, why is it, why so long? So when he told me 18 to 24 months, I think that's what he told me, I was really impressed, and I just liked his demeanor. He was very friendly. He seemed very genuine, and for me, I'm big on people skills, and personality is big for me. So that was a big selling point. As soon as I met him, I knew that's who I wanted to take care of my orthodontal work. A lot of the orthodontists that I've seen or known or checked online, they tend to be a little bit older, and I have nothing against that. But he's very skilled, and I know to be an orthodontist you have to be really good at your trade. And all dentists. So I was definitely impressed with him the very first time I met him. So. While I was a patient, I met people that. That saw me with braces, and they said, man, I wish I had this done. And I constantly would tell them, you need to go see Dr. Kumra. At least check it out, get a consultation. And as a matter of fact, my stepson, I got remarried 2 years ago. He's a patient of Dr. Kumra's. I was so impressed that, I got a family member to come on in. And but the biggest thing I said is that, he's genuine. He's very good at what he does. If you see the before and after pictures, and maybe they'll post that, I'm not sure, of my teeth, and I had the bottom done. Thing about it, he could have done the top, but he was honest with me. He said, you really don't need to. He wasn't trying to upsell me or anything like that, and that impressed me as well. Because I told him, hey, the top aren't so bad, and so he said, let's work on the bottom, do that, and that for me that was a really, really big selling point, because I know I could have went to other places, and it's very possible they said, hey, you need to get both done. And Dr. Kumra and I have become, I think, more than just patient-doctor relationship. We've become friends, if I can say that. And just because he genuinely cares about me, and I know the other patients. I've seen how he interacts with the other patients while I'm in the waiting room. His staff, I can tell his staff loves him. And he's a great guy, and I'm so glad that I got to be a patient, but more importantly, I got to become a friend. You don't have enough film time for me to tell you what I would want to say to Dr. Kumra. I came at a really, really low time in my life after losing my son Joshua, and I made a promise, and he helped me fulfill that promise. I've always been very outgoing. I smiled a lot. but I never smiled, as much as I do now, and I'm grateful to him, and I can't imagine what it would have been like had I not had this experience. So thank you, Bob.